For those that don't know me, which could probably be just about everyone, my name's Carl. I am a coach, written a few books, and I was involved with the practice for about 5 years. So for the year and a half leading up to the opening of the doors, and then for about 3.5 years. And I recently, 1st of June, left the practice to spear off and do some other stuff with my coaching and workshops and that sort of thing. So I'm very honoured to be back. This is the first time I've grabbed a hold of the microphone and got back on the stage for 6 months. So it is an absolute pleasure to be back. I got a beautiful compliment when I first walked in there. Someone said to me, "Oh, you're much shorter than I thought you'd be." Yeah, where's that person? Thank you very much for that beautiful compliment. Lovely. I've got that a couple of times before. Okay. What am I going to talk about tonight? So the way this is going to unfold, I'm going to talk for a little bit, maybe about 20 minutes. We'll see if I can keep it down to that. I do have a habit of talking a lot. Then we're going to do an activity to prepare you for the final meditation. So we're sort of going to weave our way through that. I've got a couple of ideas that I wanted to talk about, but it's not so specific, so I'll take it where it goes. Just last week I was in Singapore attending a workshop retreat with Michael Neal, who's probably one of the top coaches in the US. And the whole week was about living a guided life. So I'm going to just guide my way through this presentation tonight and see how we go. See whether it works or whether I ask for my money back. Who here has a belief that they never win anything? Anyone? Fantastic. There's not one of you in here that goes, "I'll never win anything." And that spoils that bloody activity I was going to do. Okay, let me spin that in a different direction. Who would like a free massage? We've got a winner just here. My little friend has just won a free massage. Come and see me at the end. I'll give you a pass for a free massage. So sleepy there, like she's lying down, sleeping back, but still like, yes, I love it. Thank you very much. So first thing is about asking for stuff and receiving. Other secret about myself, it's not much of a secret, but I love giving stuff away. So there's going to be books to give away and there's going to be other stuff over the course of the evening. So think of a number between 1 and 100. This is an integrity game as well. Have you locked in your number? A number between 1 and 100. I'm going to say a number and whoever is closest to that number wins a prize. So my number's 15. Does anyone have 15 or very close to 15? Who's close to 15? 18? 14. Closest? Anyone close to the 14? And we have a winner there. And here you go. Merry Christmas. No worries. So I'm going to talk a little bit about beliefs. Like this is the lead up to the workshop I'm going to do this weekend on Saturday. I'm going to talk a little bit about that workshop before we get to the end of this activity, because I don't want anyone thinking that while you're laying down in these hypnotic states, I'm putting little things in the back of your head to tell you to come to my workshop on Saturday. So I'll talk about the workshop before we get down, because I want you at the end of the guided meditation to drift your way out of here. Maybe you just need to ground yourself a little bit before you jump on your motorbikes, or operate any heavy machinery or anything like that. So that's how we'll flow through the evening. This is one of my favourite words at the moment. Has been for a while, and I'd like to look at what that actually means. What does it mean to you? Evolution. And let's sort of soup it up a little bit. Let's say personal evolution. What's personal evolution mean to you? Growth? What else? Evolve. And what does that mean to evolve? What's that? Improve, yeah. Any other words throw in the mix, this evolution thing?
Consciousness.
What's that? Consciousness. Yeah, gorgeous word. Any other words to throw in this hodgepodge of evolution? Expand, change, I like that. Transform, beautiful. So one of the things about this evolutionary path, and if we choose that as one of our goals in life, To evolve, we need to cut some stuff away. We don't be dragging this stuff around in our past. And unfortunately, that's what we do way too much of. An experience happens in the past and we have whatever experience there, we give some particular meaning to it. And then we go forward into the future, and I'm in this future now, and I'm using something from the past to overlay into this experience that's happening right in front of me. So I used to teach and believe of this thing that knowledge plus experience equals wisdom. Does that sound about right? If I've got knowledge of something and experience of something, I've got wisdom. Make sense? Who reckons? Put your hand up if you think that sounds pretty right. Put your hands up if there's pieces missing, or you think I'm just going to pull a rug out from underneath you and reveal something. Yes. So what I've found, I've been coaching now for about 12 years. I'm doing this personal development thing for about 20 years. Knowledge plus experience equals potential wisdom. Who has ever had the knowledge, had previous experience, and still made a fucking stupid choice? So obviously it's not a done deal. We've got some wisdom, it's floating around in there, but what makes us make a great choice in the moment? What causes us to draw on this thing? If we've got the knowledge, we've got the experience, we've got this potential wisdom, what turns it into actual wisdom? And just guess, throw some stuff out there. Implementing, yeah, can be. Sort of the strategic path. Intuition, yeah, that sort of weaves its way in there. Absolutely. Any other words? Yep. Yep. Someone mentioned the word before, and this is one of my favourite words, and this is what I love so much about being involved with the practice. It was all about increasing this thing. Consciousness. So for me, this is my understanding of what takes potential wisdom to real wisdom. It's my ability to be fully conscious in this particular moment, drawing on all this background, but being fully present to the reality that exists in front of me. So I don't just overlay that thing that happened in the past and put it into here. I bring a level of consciousness into it. I sort of bring this stuff to mind. You can imagine a sage-like man or woman, and they're walking along and something happens in front of them. They don't just fire off into it. They plant themselves, ground themselves, become truly conscious of what's the reality of the thing that's in front of me. Maybe what result do I want to get out of this particular thing? What knowledge do I have from past experience, and what experience do I have there, and bringing that into the moment. So this, for me, is why for evolution, this is such an important piece of the evolutionary path. And this is why I love seeing you guys involved in this place, in this practice, this yoga, this meditation, expanding a level of consciousness. It's going to be the thing that contributes significantly to the choices you make in life. And the choices you make in life have a big impact on the results you get in life. And you can look back at your own personal experience and sort of see where you've made choices that have taken you off in different directions. So neuroscientists have suggested that we're only conscious of our thoughts, our feelings and our behaviours something like 95% of the time. I've read different things, 92 to 98% of the time we're actually running on autopilot. So it's our subconscious mind that's driving us. So the way this works, and it's in my book there, I took a model, and it's going, I can be really clear. I'm at point A, and I want to go to point B, and I'm really clear that that's where I want to go. And then I end up over here, and I say, what the fuck happened to my little path that I was very clear about? I was very clear where I was. I was very clear where I wanted to go to. What happened? Why did I end up over here? Why? Anyone? Yeah, was I in consciousness? So while I'm fully conscious, I can continue on that path for that thing that I've decided is the thing I most want to get to. But as soon as distraction happens, I flip out of consciousness. Present time consciousness happens in the present moment. As soon as I'm thinking of the past or future, I'm outside of that. I'm no longer conscious. I'm no longer conscious of that. So what happens is I'm moving on subconscious programs. This autopilot just kicks in. So part of my work with all my clients is trying to get alignment between this is where I want to go and what's happening in my subconscious mind. Is it taking me in alignment of that? So beliefs. Who thinks our beliefs create our reality? Who spends a lot of time getting clear about what their beliefs are and which beliefs aren't serving them? Peeling back those layers that have been built up over however old we are, like stacked up, stacked up, stacked up. And part of the guided meditation I'm going to do tonight is like get past all of those levels and layers. So we get to the heart, the essence of who you are. The essence of who you are is pure light, pure love, joy, peace. All of those things exist within us. It's these layers that we put around ourselves. So I had a client who, she just made really poor choices. And she was a smart woman, and I couldn't quite understand until I had a deeper dialogue with her. She was with a guy that she really wasn't that keen on, sort of, yeah, he's okay, but, She was doing a job which was, yeah, pretty good, but, it's not what I really want to do. So why would she make choices to be with someone who isn't really the person she desires to be with? Why would she do that? Why would she be in a job that isn't really what she wants to be in? Doesn't make sense. So I sort of get behind the architecture and try to get an understanding of what might be going on behind the scenes that causes her to falter at the decision-making point and steer off in a different direction, this subconscious, unconscious direction. And when I was talking to her, it turned out that she had 4 other siblings, and she was the 5th child. So somewhere along the line, she built up this belief based on personal experience when she was a child that she got the last choice. So she had this belief, I get the last choice. So she goes through life and her favourite choice comes up, but a part of her says, no, you don't get to choose first. She's completely unaware of it. She just bypasses the first 2 choices and goes for number 3. Can you imagine if she lived her life that way? Would she ever get what she most desires? Would she ever get what she most desires? No, because something's pulling her away from it. She goes to that job and she's like, yeah, this is okay. Relationship, pretty much everything in her life. So the work we did was to shift that around. And it was just shifting. It was this is just something that's playing and it's outside of her periphery vision, so she's unaware of it being played. And it's just sort of playing back here. You don't get first choice. You don't get first choice. You don't get first choice. She's completely unaware of its impact on everything, every choice she's making in life. So we do the work and we want to flip it. And this is a limiting belief, disempowering belief, and we flip it. And the new belief that she starts with is I get first choice. What's the likelihood of her choosing her first choice if that's the new program that's starting to play in her head? It's a game changer. And it was a game changer for her. Because she realised why she was doing what she was doing. There was a deeper conversation happening back here that she was unaware of. And we have so many of those things in our life. Stories that we tell ourselves. These thoughts that we have. How many thoughts do we have a day? Thousands and thousands. Can we control our thoughts? Who thinks we can control our thoughts? Impressive. Impressive. Who doesn't think they can control their thoughts? I'm 2 hands in that camp. So this idea, I don't know who counted the numbers up, but something like 45,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day. The majority of them are repetitions of previous thoughts. The majority of them are negative thoughts. So stuff bubbles to mind, and it's not true because it bubbles to mind. So the more we can bring this thing into the equation, the less we believe everything that bubbles to mind. And we just let it pass. When something comes up that's ridiculous, like just letting it pass. These thoughts come up and it's just a thought. And I call a lot of what we do thoughting. There's thinking, and when I think, I bring consciousness to it. That's a different thing. And when I think, I'm more likely to find truths with a capital T. This thoughting stuff, but it's just the monkey chatter. So we need to be okay with ourselves and say, I actually can't control all the thoughts that come into my head. So cut yourself some slack right here and right now and acknowledge that you can't control all the stuff that's bubbling up. You know, primal systems, lower parts of the brain are throwing all different things at you. I'm conscious of time. So one of the things with, and I don't have enough time to go deeper into this. Have you ever given a compliment to someone and they've deflected it? So someone's done something great, you've complimented them and they've deflected it. Has anyone ever had that experience? I had a mate that does some just incredible stuff. Selected, so he's an Australian guy, selected in the, well, he's given a scholarship to play in the States. He was the captain of the, baseball team, went through the military college with me, graduated from there, left the military, went to the States. A job fell through that he went for, so he went to Home Depot just as a general employee. Within 3 years, he's the assistant general manager. Then he gets headhunted by another company that's, you know, maybe it's like a $50 million store that he was running there. But you'd compliment him, he would just deflect it, push it away, just couldn't handle it. So somewhere along the line, his identity and belief of himself didn't match what was coming at him. There was some subconscious stuff there. Now, a bit of background on him, you know, tough childhood, alcoholic father, some rough stuff in there. So somewhere along the line, he buys into the belief that he's not worthy or he's not good or whatever. So you say something to him and it doesn't match the identity he has of himself, this storehouse of beliefs. So my little diagram here represents, so there's a belief, and that belief could be I'm not enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I didn't have an education, this isn't the right environment to succeed in this business, I'm no good at business, whatever the story is. And what we do in life, and you know, one of the challenges when we're very young, sort of pre-7, we're in an altered state of consciousness. In order to biologically suck in as much information as we can, we're like in starting at a delta state of consciousness or brain level when we're younger, and then we go up to theta and then go to alpha. But we're like this sponge sucking everything in. So we're sucking in some great stuff, and we're also sucking in some shit. So that stuff might be stored somewhere, and then what we do instead of, you know, walking through the garden and noticing all the beautiful flowers and that, we have a belief which says the world is an unsafe place. And then we've primed our brain as a result of that belief to notice all the things that support that belief. So we go through life just stacking all this stuff up. And we put it in these filing cabinets. You know, neuroscientists would say maybe stored in the mid part of the brain, the limbic part of the brain. Yogic might be more stored within the energetic body as well. Wherever we store these things, we have, you know, these list of beliefs that we've stored deeper. So when someone gives us a compliment, there's a part of us in hypnotherapy, it's called critical bypass. It's like a gatekeeper. And when something's said, the gatekeeper turns around, opens the filing cabinets up and says, does this match the identity that I have for myself? So if my friend I talked about has a belief I'm useless, and he gets a positive comment, it hits that critical bypass and it just gets deflected. So that's if someone says something positive. Now, if someone says something negative, where do you think that's going? It's going straight inside. And he feels the feelings that go with that negative statement. He's bought into this idea because he has something in his past. Now, the wonderful thing is, and this is hundreds and thousands of years of doing these practices, it's possible to disrupt this show. So certain yogic practices to do it. I've studied neuro-linguistics programs, some hypnotherapy. And what happens is we can get into, messing with this architecture, messing with this identity, if we can get into an altered state of consciousness. So when someone's awake and you tell them this, they're awesome, and it doesn't match that, it just gets deflected. But when someone's in a more relaxed state, deeply relaxed state, it's going to get past this piece and it goes down into there. So part of what we're going to do tonight, and I'll take you through this guided meditation, I want to get into the deep subconscious part of your brain. I want to bypass, this prick that's in the way of letting all this goodness in. So I'm going to take you into an altered state of consciousness. You're going to go into an alpha theta state, which allows this stuff in. I once had a client come to me and she said she wanted to stop drinking and smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. And I was pretty new to the hypnotherapy thing. And I said, look, I wouldn't say I'm an expert on helping people to stop smoking cigarettes and give up drink, but let's see how we go. So I put her in the altered state of consciousness and I just told her how beautiful she was. That was the essence of it. And that landed. So at some point she would go to pick up a drink and she goes, why would I do that to myself? I like myself too much. Cigarette smoking, she obviously knows at an intellectual level, doesn't make sense. So, she's like, why would I do this to myself? I love myself. So this is like changing what's happening back of the screen there. The only other one I want to say on evolution is, and this is Carl Massy's take on the world and my take on what I've learned over the last 20 years. Mix of yogic teachings and a lot of other teachings in there. For me, this is my latest thought, where we have the chakras running up our body. Third chakra, and I like Rod Stryker's description of what the first three chakras might represent. First chakra might be fear. Second chakra, attachment. Third chakra around identity and really connected to ego. Then we get fourth chakra and we go to love base. So my thing is this. Evolution is like actually, going from third chakra living to fourth chakra living. Not doing things because of an egoic reason. Not being stuck to that, but doing things out of love. Doing things because you love to do them, not because you think you're going to get recognition, because you think you're going to get likes on your social media platforms or whatever. But doing things purely out of love. And not worrying about the measure of it. Giving open-heartedly, living wholeheartedly, and coming from that place. That for us is the work, in my opinion. Our work is evolving beyond this need to prove ourselves. And maybe we're still proving ourselves because we've got some subconscious beliefs that we weren't enough because when we grew up with mum and dad, we didn't get have the environment that made us feel as though we're enough. So that's okay, that's just the lot that we were born into. So our work is to evolve beyond that. The past doesn't equal the future, so it's like how you show up today. And what work you do today to peel these layers back. And you work on building this stuff up so you can become more consciously aware of the things that aren't serving you, the thoughts that aren't serving you. So I'm going to wrap up the talking piece tonight. I'm going to move into an activity. Before I do, so we're doing this workshop on the weekend, processing your limiting beliefs. I go a lot deeper. Because what I find is when you understand more of it, you're a little bit more malleable, you're a bit more comfortable with letting go of stuff. A lot of times people hang on to their beliefs and defend their beliefs. I want to spend the 4 hours that we have together, taking people through an understanding of what might be driving them, so then they can bring the level of conscious awareness of themselves to decide or make better decisions. At the end of the workshop, I'm going to do a neuro-linguistics programming technique called the rocking chair technique or the Dickens pattern. The first half of it totally sucks. It's extremely uncomfortable. Tears, like painful, emotionally. The second half of it is, pure bliss. And what I'm doing is I'm disrupting the story. I'm disrupting this thing that's been built up over time. We're going to go through the workshop and identify what is your core limiting belief. What is the belief that's playing behind the scenes on a loop recording that's actually interfering with your ability to show up? Because this is what happens. If we have a limiting belief, it generally triggers the sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight response. When that gets triggered, we tend to close up. When we contract, we're nowhere near as powerful as we can potentially be. When we feel empowered, like we're like this, heart this big, torus field around us, like that's the potential. And so much of the time we have these limiting beliefs that close us down and cause us to pull energy from the field, actually. So that's what we're going to go through over the course of the workshop on the weekend.